Go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. We're here at the Cholo Cactus Garden. We're continuing our tour of the Joshua Tree National Park. We're going to take a short walk. It's about a quarter of a mile through the Cholos, and then we'll have a little bit of a lesson talking about what they are, what they do, and the kind of wildlife that lives here and the kind of pollinators that they use. It's beautiful here. It's so nice and quiet. I'll take some pictures of the Cholos and show those to you as I describe them. Thank you. There are various types of cacti here. Here is this cool looking red one. And then if we pan around to here, we can see these little prickly ones that look like bushes. And then back on around to the ones that have flowering plants on them. We're going to look at C4 and CAM plants. We've looked at a little bit of video and some pictures on cacti, right? So now we're going to talk about what kind of plants and how they grow. So first we'll look at C4 plants. C4 plants are adapted to those hot, dry environments. Remember, in the desert there's very little rain, there's a whole lot of sun, not a whole lot of shade, and very low humidity. So they include the important human food crops of maize, right? That's what corn is, maize, sorghum, and sugarcane. You might not be familiar with sorghum, but I know you know what corn is and sugarcane. Those plants have developed a special mechanism of carbon fixation that prevents photorespiration. And so I didn't know if you knew what that meant. You know, photo means light, and respire, we're talking about breathing. But let's look at the definition for photorespiration, right? That's our C2 photosynthesis that we've looked at in other videos. That refers to the process in plant metabolism where an enzyme called rubisco, and this is just shortened for some different enzyme names, but we're just going to call it this because they're too hard to memorize. And that what they do, they oxygenates the RUBP, and we're wasting some of the energy produced by photosynthesis. So let's look at how these first C4 plants respirate. So the leaves on these plants have what's called a special anatomy. This represents the corn leaf, and here we're going to look at the cells that are on the surface of this leaf. Okay? So we have what are called bundle sheath cells. And those were down here, if you look, and this is where we find this rubisco enzyme, right? So our carbon dioxide is going to be concentrated around this rubisco enzyme here, right? It's delivered straight to that, and we're removing its contact with oxygen and its need for photorespiration. So we have these mesophyll cells. Meso just means middle. They're in the middle here. See that you have cells up here, and then the mesophyll and the cell down here, and this carbon dioxide pump. Right? So carbon dioxide's coming in and it goes directly here and it's fixed by the bundle sheath cells. And so what happens is our oxygen and our water are released, like respiration. This is an adaptation, and an adaptation is an evolutionary construct whereby plants, since these plants grow in hot, humid environments, they had to adapt in order to be able to survive. And it allows those plants to retain water, right, which is what they need, through the ability to fix that carbon while their stomata are closed. So let's look at what a stomata is. Stomata means window or opening in Latin. So here's our stomata. On the underside of the leaf, we have little cells that are called guard cells. They guard this opening, right? And it opens and closes like a window. So in the daytime around here where we live, it's open because we are going to allow all of this carbon dioxide to come in and then our oxygen to go back out, right? So we have product photosynthesis reactant, photosynthesis product. And so these guard cells are open. We're allowing all of this oxygen exchange, carbon dioxide and oxygen exchange, and they're open during the day to take that in and to release oxygen. But if you have these plants that we're talking about here, the C4 plants, it's too hot to leave their stomata open during the day. So they close them during the day, and then at night they open them in order to photorespirate. Let's look at our second type of plants. Those are called CAM plants. CAM stands for this crassulacean acid metabolism. Isn't it much easier to just say CAM plants? This is another method of carbon fixation evolved by some plants and other dry circumstances. So they're going to take in carbon dioxide because it's the source of the carbon atoms that make sugars. This is our general photosynthesis process, right? We're taking in carbon dioxide and we're using light, and we're going to build glucose or sugars. We can also use those carbon atoms to build proteins, nucleotides, right? And or other building blocks of life. So here's the sun, and here's our leaf, and here's our stomata, right? Oxygen is just a waste product, a byproduct of photosynthesis. We use it to respirate, right? That's cellular respiration. But the plant gives it off as a byproduct, a waste product. So here we have these open stomata. They're getting energy from the sun, and the chloroplasts, the little green pigments in here, are going to make ATP, which is the power source, and NADPH. And that's used to power this fixation process of changing those carbon atoms into sugar. So we have this super dry environment, and here's our cactus, right? One is a cactus, more than one are cacti. Dangerous amounts of water can be lost if the stomata are open, and water is a hot commodity in the desert because it's not there very often. So we don't want to leave the stomata open to release that water, so we're going to keep them closed during the day. Then at night, when it's cooler, right, we're going much cooler then, so far less water is lost via those stomata. We can open them at night and we're not losing as much water. And so that's what we need. We're trying to look at that water and where it goes. In order to meet the needs to combine the sun's energy with carbon dioxide from the air, these CAM plants are going to take in their carbon dioxide at night. And they're going to store it in the form of a 4-carbon acid called malate. That's not important, but that's just how they store it. Then, during the day, malate is released where it can be combined with our ATP and our NADPH. These were created by the sun's energy, right? ATP is our energy source. And that allows the plants to conserve their water by closing their stomata during hot daytimes. So we're going to look at some more pictures of some more cacti and some interesting things and interesting features of the desert. And we hope that you enjoy our video.